So today we're shoveling and raking out the spot where we're going to put the tents. It allows us to do a project that is a higher priority project. We're getting water into the garage, and right now we have a tarp over it. And so we're going to take the roof off of a garage, and when we do that, we want to store our stuff somewhere safe. So we're going to put together a couple temporary tents. So today we're going to dig it out. We're going to level it off. It's an old pool area, so it's pretty level. A 24-foot round pool that's was level. So we're going to clean that off, make it 22 by 22 foot square so that we can put these tents on, and that's what we're going to do today. I leveled the whole yard to that level to here. Then I can use that railing that I had along here. We can walk down into the yard. We'll take when we get the tents emptied, we'll be able to fill in down there all the way to the edge of the hill and have a nice level yard. And yeah, I'll put that on the list. One more. What, that make an even 972 or something? We wanted to put the tents up today, but wife and I are going to go over to a pal's house for dinner, a couple cocktails maybe, and John would too, but he's got some editing to do, so have at it, John. Mm-hmm. Well, it's day 2 of the project. Yesterday we spent a couple hours, it was only like 2 or 3 hours, leveling this and getting it ready to set up some storage tents. And so we're going to set up a 10 by 17 tent. So what we're going to do today is finish this grading. I'm going to rake it out a bit, and then we're going to build a tent. Good. All right. So yeah, it has some nuts and bolts and of course, the most important tool for any project around this household, wasp and hornet spray. My favorite. It shoots up to 22 feet. You may be seeing me use this a couple times throughout the project. Okay, so it looks like this is a pretty well built thing. Very few tools are required, and you know, some good welded parts. The instructions show the numbers of where the parts go and things of that nature. So what I'm going to do is lay the parts out so that it looks like the schematic on here, and then I'll put it together with the poles in between the pieces. So I'll have essentially the layout of the tent in parts. It goes together much better that way. If I run into anything that is out of the ordinary, I'll stop and let you know. So here we go. I think we're ready to raise the roof. Or should we pull those first? No. So we're driving in anchors, and the anchor goes in at each of the 4 corners. And the anchors have a flange on the bottom, and to drive that into the ground, it's kind of a screw mechanism, and it drives in, but it's really difficult to turn by hand just from the eyelet. You can't do it, not in this soil. And so you get a piece of bar, screwdriver, anything that can make a handle, and you can turn it in, and it will drive in, not simply. Almost there.
So you can use this on anything that has an eyelet, you know,
Yep,
just for a little bit more leverage.
So, as you can see, we have the tent up, but we have a couple tweaks. We found a couple things that we wanted to adjust. And so we'll show you what we're talking about, and then we can run through some adjustments and show you how to get this just right. When we put this cover on, the sides were really loose, and we tightened the pipes. These horizontally running pipes run through a part of the tarp, through like a channel in the tarp, and they were kind of loose. So what I did is I loosened the brackets, and I leaned on it a little bit just to snug it up a little bit, and then tightened them down. Because if it's slack, it's going to fan all over and move all over in any wind. But if you have it nice and snug, the snow will slide off, and the wind will not whip it around quite as much. So what we're challenged with was this yellow line is the center of the tent. Is this centered? Is it even on both sides? And we're assuming that that's the center of the top. And so what we did was we did that adjustment of loosening the pipes and pulling on them until we got that pretty close. I think within an inch is plenty close. I'm not going to necessarily go crazy, but we have a few more adjustments to do, and I'll show you one that is going to be kind of a bear because a measurement wasn't in the manual. So I'm going to show you another issue that we had with this, and it has to do with the measurements in the manual. They tell you that the poles are supposed to be 10 feet across from side to side, and that from corner to corner the distance is supposed to be the same, so you can have a square building. They don't tell you what the overall distance is. So one of the things that they don't tell you that I should have thought of and unfortunately didn't is that from end to end it is exactly 17 feet. And so they give you A and B from corner to corner, but I didn't, for some reason, think through it and make sure that it was 17 feet on the sides. All they have to do is drop one dimension on the drawing, and it would make it so much easier to understand that, yes, you need to ensure that that 17 feet is 17 feet, or you're putting the anchor at the wrong place. And what happens when it's not is you can see that the angle of this is turned in. So I'm probably going to have to move my anchor here and my ratchets, so we may move that just inside the anchor. The anchor's right here. So I wanted to tell you that something else that wasn't too clear in the manual, which was what tools you'll need to do the job. And the tools I used for the job included the manual itself, which wasn't too bad, a 1/4 inch driver, a crescent wrench, small crescent wrench is fine, a 10 millimeter ratchet, and I had a 33-foot tape measure, a 25 will do, a screwdriver or a metal rod of some sort to turn the anchors in, and I used a longer tape measure. I have a long tape measure to measure corner to corner. The 25 foot will be fine for the corner to corner on a 10 by 17 even. Those are the tools that we used. We found that got us by, and we were able to complete the project with those tools. You may have a different selection yourself, but those seem to work just fine for us. So a pretty good weekend project of setting up a 10 by 17 tarp shed, and we were able to knock it out in about 6 hours, raking it out, getting it ready, putting it up. 6 hours, not bad, but it came out all right. Looks good. One thing that I'm not so happy about is how the tarp just lays at the bottom. And so I was thinking about that and might put some railroad ties around the bottom or something like that to keep the raccoons and the possums and things like that out of there. But otherwise, it's a pretty good shed, and it was, I think, a fun project.